course, the Civil War was about slavery. We know that. That's unquestioned, always the case. We know the Civil War was about slavery. But it was also more than that. It was about the freedoms of every individual. It was about the role of government.
Okay, that was Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley today in Conway, New Hampshire. She was talking further about her controversial answers to this question. It's a simple question in any history textbook. What was the cause of the Civil War? Now, here's her original response that got her into hot water last night in Berlin, New Hampshire.
Well, don't come with an easy question, right? I mean, I think the cause of the Civil War was basically how government was going to run, the freedoms and what people could and couldn't do.
Okay, so I'm going to start with you, Shermichael. Why would she, I mean, we said this yesterday, Nikki Haley colors inside the line. She doesn't take chances. She went out 3 separate times before noon today on a radio show at the town hall this morning, and then later talking to reporters on an ad hoc basis, which she never does, to clean this up.
Yeah, I mean, she needs to stop the bleeding, at this point. I mean, I would say before this happened, Nikki Haley appeared to be a candidate who could be very competitive in New Hampshire. It certainly would have given her the boost she needed going into her home state of South Carolina. I've been through all of these states in 3 presidential campaigns. And this was an easy answer. More than likely, it was a Democratic tracker who posed that question. I used to be an opposition researcher. This is a part of the process.
Yeah. You're not blaming the questioner, are you?
I'm not. You prep your candidates for these types of scenarios. However, Haley understands there's a certain group of Republicans who perhaps would not have wanted her to acknowledge that the root cause
maybe in South Carolina, in her home state, but come on.
And I think she was thinking about that, but at this point, she's not going to win those voters. So why attempt to appease them?
New Hampshire, unaffiliated voters can vote in the Republican primary.
No, they can't. But she wasn't thinking about just New Hampshire. She's thinking about a national election. And there is a very small percentage of the Republican Party that does not acknowledge that the Civil War was fought over slavery.
Nikki Haley, incidentally, in the polling, is the one Republican candidate who beats President Biden in a theoretical matchup by the most.
Yeah, by 6-7 percentage points.
President Biden, from his vacation redoubt in St. Croix, said this last night, tweeted this, 4 words, it was about slavery. Scott?
Yeah. I saw your tweet earlier today, too, because you thought this was pretty significant. That
course.
It may have cost
I think it's over
her chances. It's over for
You think it's over for her?
I absolutely think it's over for her.
Here's why, and we agree on that, is because Nikki Haley beats Trump in the general. This won't hurt her in the primary, I don't think, because America, black, white, yellow, brown, are still uncomfortable talking about race and racism and the original sin of this country, of slavery. And one of the reasons why race is still a factor in this country is because of that uncomfortability.
Yeah.
So how hard is it to say it was about slavery and it was about freedoms and so forth and so on, about treating people as human beings as opposed to treating them differently? And I think that's her challenge. It won't hurt her in the primary, but in the general, she's going to hear this over and over again.
I think it will hurt her in the primary because if I'm a voter and I'm looking at Nikki Haley, this is a candidate that bounces around on every single issue. You have no idea what she actually stands for. And if I'm a donor, I wouldn't put my money behind that type of candidate.
They don't want to talk about race, and they don't want that candidate.
I don't agree with that. I do not agree with that, Scott. That's not every single Republican voter in America.
I didn't say that. I said most.
That's not most. It's not most. Perhaps a small sector of Republican voters.
Don't want to talk about race or the history of slavery in this country because it makes them feel bad and makes them feel like this country failed them.
Liberal progressives feel good? Is that what you're saying?
No,
they certainly aren't.
You got to have a race.
Standard bearers of racial discussions in America.
About race authentically, and most of us are uncomfortable talking about race.
So don't just blame it only on Republican voters,
whether it looks like my colleagues.
But don't only say Republican voters.
Well, they're a big part of it because they are uncomfortable with the race question. Period.
And so was Joe Biden.
Of black and brown people won't support them.
And so was Joe Biden in the 1970s. So was Joe Biden during the crime bill. He's only flipped because he was the vice president of the first black president.
Years ago.
Come on, gentlemen, I'm going to go to a South Carolinian, a Republican who knows Nikki Haley. Shermichael says, Mick, that she's done. Do you agree?
No, I don't. I believe she wishes she had this over. She really did. She really does. And you could tell by the damage control. And it didn't make it better, by the way, by saying she thought it was a Democrat plant. That actually makes it worse. Because if you want to be president, You have to be able to deal with things a lot more, insidious than just Democrat trackers. So there's a couple of mistakes here. That being said, if she comes out right away and says, look, I screwed up. Of course it's about slavery. I should have said that, and I didn't. I've been talking all day. I'm tired. I'm really sorry. Right. I think folks would recognize that happens. When you talk all day for a living, you're going to say the wrong thing occasionally. And I think people get that. But I don't think there's a long window for this. I'm sort of with the rest of the panel. This by itself is not fatal, but she doesn't have a long time to fix it. If this turns into a 24-hour story, she's had some great momentum. She can continue that. If this stays around another 3 or 4 days, it's going to be a real problem for her.
Thank you for watching. And make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.